I work a particular phone line for Universal Credit, which
yes.
is the advance phone line. So an advance on your wages is something I'm sure your listeners
Yes.
will understand. And it's essentially an advance on your benefits from the future. Most people can get about 350 quid. The top you can get is 812. That's for if you've got kids.
Right.
And the reasons I can give it out, there is a very specific list of reasons I can give out.
Yes.
The budgeting advance, which is the advance that is available to everyone. I can't give it out for gas and electricity.
Right.
That's not something I'm allowed to give it out to. I have to explain that they need to call their gas and electricity supplier and arrange some kind of debt relief situation, and it will come out of their universal credit forever.
Yeah.
And the things they can ring up for, fridges, ovens, cookers, that sort of thing.
Right. 812 quid
for
be
that.
for a boiler, would it, or something like that? Or...
Well, if it's not your landlord's responsibility, but if it's your landlord's responsibility, I can't. Even if it's, say, not a very good landlord.
Even if you're freezing you to the bones, your landlord's not picking up the phone. There's nothing you can do.
Even if you've got medical conditions. So I
this is an awful business. I hope you won't take this the wrong way, but do you look after your own mental health properly? Because
I grew up on benefits,
right?
So in a way, I feel like I do have a slightly better understanding, maybe than, other people.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. But nevertheless, you're at the coalface of some of the worst experiences that your fellow citizens are enduring in this country.
It does sometimes feel like people are almost. It's a horrible system because people are having to, in order to get this money, they're having to explain everything that's gone wrong in their lives.
Oh, man.
Like, I'm having to listen, and it's not, I don't want to make this like a poor me, it's just, you have to listen to people essentially pitch their misery.
God, like a sort of dragon's den of horror and sadness and poverty.
And we're penalised if we give too much out.
Of course you are. And you're a nice lad, I can tell. You're compassionate. There'll be some people who aren't on the end of that phone line, won't there?
It's an interesting sort of sociological thing, because they hire you off the dole for it.
Right.
So I was unemployed after lockdown,
right,
and I got the job a couple of months later. Everyone came off the dole, and what you've just said, about 30% of the people within 2 weeks were talking about scroungers.
God.
Like, all off the dole.
Yeah.
It's one of those sort of when you put prisoners in charge of guarding other prisoners sort of thing, I think.
Psychological experiment, but it's not, is it? It's Brexit Britain. What?
So it sticks in my craw that I am going to have to haggle with people over £200, or I'm going to have to, because I'm not a monster. So if someone says I need it for gas and bills, and I say I can't give it to you, and they say, but it's freezing in my house, and I say, why is it cold? And they talk to me about it for a while, and then they say, oh, but I haven't got any clothes. The newest clothes I have are 5 years old. I can do it for clothes.
Right,
so I go, oh yeah, sure.
You try and help
clothes.
within the rules. You try and help.
Yeah, but
So I mean, God, this is a tricky one, isn't it? Because I mean, it feels inhuman almost to be asking a question now about the hundreds of millions of pounds that the man ultimately in charge of all economic policy has in his own private bank account.
Honestly, that is almost more of an effect on mental health. These stories of billions wasted, stories of more money than I have denied to everyone that I have spoken to in months, years of doing this job, is wasted in a day. A day. And I'm having to haggle with people. I'm having to
on fraud and
negotiate.
PPE alone on this.
Just the hypocrisy of it.
I mean, that could happen under any party and has in the past. The wastes of public money are well documented. I think the Tories campaign on it, we won't do it, but then of course they do. But what about Rishi Sunak personally? And he can't give all his money. He wouldn't suddenly become a more qualified politician or a more effective chancellor if he gave all his money to charity, would he? Or gave it all to you and told you to divvy it up among the people calling you every day. How does it affect his political?
I think it intrinsically he can't speak with the same authority. It's like Johnson with the parties. He can't tell us if there's another disaster or another, God forbid, another kind of coronavirus thing happens in the next couple of months, if he told us to hide in the Anderson shelters or something, who would do it?
Yeah.
Who would? He's in the same way when Rishi Sunak talks about fiscal responsibility. It's just.
Really? I'm close. I'm close.
Okay,
You and Graham,
okay.
You've nearly got me there. It's not quite, probably because of my own circumstances and the fact that I'm comfortable. I can't quite...
Sure.
I mean, I can walk a mile in your shoes, but then I'll give them back, won't I? And put my own shoes back on.
Yeah. And I mean, maybe some of this is just sort of the fallacies in Western logic, which is if it can be explained, it must be able to be understood, which may not be true in some circumstances. You maybe might have to play a
and that's
role.
I mean, and that's you might just have pinned it down. Actually, is that you cannot have it. So the more removed you are from the experience, the less capable you will be. Perhaps not always. There are exceptions.
Sure.
But the general experience will be the less capable you will be of legislating from a position of understanding. And if you're not legislating from a position of understanding, what the hell are you legislating for?
Yeah, and intrinsically, it's a democracy. And I don't think this is out of the annals of Marx to just sort of say, if you've got hundreds of millions, if you've got more wealth than like most cities in this country, well, surely your interests aren't aligned.
And there's a family over the road who are burning furniture and wearing coats inside.